Okay, Big Wolf on Campus Season 3, Episode 20, the series finale. Thanks. You're welcome. No, that's the name of the episode, is Thanks. It's the finale, continuing off where we left off, picking up where we left off at the end of the last episode. We know that Sloane is now evil, and so now she's kind of pitting Tommy and Merton against each other. Tommy, of course, has told Merton he can take her to prom, but Merton has a plan, to study all her classes and figure out where she's going to leave and where she's going to go, and you'll meet her there. But she shows up and asks Tommy, hey, I'm waiting. You asked me to go to prom. It's a couple of days. And she's like, yeah, I don't know, sort of thing. And he's like, maybe you should go with Merton. And he's like, well, that's nice, a friend and everything. But Merton sees this and gets mad, but then she shows up at the lair and falsely claims that Tommy was bad-mouthing Merton, and that's when they kiss, and we find out that she's got these evil powers, and it's basically a kiss of death. We also find out later that if she kisses them again, it'll bring them back to life. So, but yeah, she kissed Merton, and now he said he's a ghost going around, which he, of course, references Ghost, starring Patrick Swayze, Whoopi Goldberg, and Demi Moore. He even does the Swayze thing when, out of nowhere, for no reason other than to call back to Ghost, Laurie is doing pottery on the little spindle thing, and he comes up and tries to do the thing. Prom is coming up, and so, like I said, we already mentioned that part, but Laurie is going with Kyle Slavitt, who is a freshman, and played by that guy who's been in a bunch of Canadian stuff, including a couple Are You Afraid of the Dogs and Goosebumps, but I don't know the actor's name, but he's been in stuff, and yeah, he's a freshman. That's her plight. One thing I can say is that Laurie is kind of left out of this finale. Like, she has that kind of plot line, she has the pottery thing, and then besides being in the car the entire time the climax of this episode happens, nothing. There's nothing. It's a callback to Tommy and Merton taking care of business like in the first two seasons, or like the first season originally, but so after Merton's death, Sloane goes to Tommy and convinces him that Merton was bad-mouthing him, and so he's like, you know what, I'll take you to prom. So they go to pick her up. Merton is sitting in the front seat, but he's a ghost, trying to communicate to Tommy through the radio, but he just ignores it and puts on some Dave Matthews Band, which I don't think it's actually Dave Matthews. Barely hear the song, but anyway, nice that they played Ansel Martin, who was out. I think it was out already. This is 2001, but so he goes in and it's revealed that it's all is a trap. Turns out the hooded figure was the man who I've been incorrectly referring to as Chip, Gil. Hi-ho! I've been calling him Chip this entire time. His name is Gil. I don't know why I was calling him Chip. His name is Gil. Because he calls him Gil. And Gil, I've been calling him the wrong name. His name is Gil. Hi-ho! Turns out that this is where it's revealed that the werewolf-eating vampire killed most of everyone in the werewolf syndicate except for Gil. But before you ask, well, how could that possibly happen? Well, if you think about it, there wasn't many left. Like a handful of wolves left, werewolves left. So, and Gil is not actually a full-fledged werewolf. You never seen him wolf out at all. So, I keep wanting to call him Chip though. The plan was that he was going to take Tommy's alpha powers and rebuild the syndicate. Well, turns out Sloane is going to do that, and I forgot to mention last episode, Sloane is played by the same actress who played Carole Lefebvre, the cat woman from season 1. Same actress. It's the second time they've used an actor or actress twice. Hence why Stormy was played by the guy from season 1, who I don't even remember his name. But, yes. So she plans on taking the alpha powers for herself and says that once that's done, she will bring Merton back to life. But Merton does the Patrick Swayze ghost thing, goes into her body. Credit to the actress. She does a good job of Merton's thing and kisses himself, which brings her back to life, and he's no longer possessing Sloane's body. It's really weird. Then we have a fight in which she's... Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention is Corey goes to bite her in the previous episode. Corey F. Feldman. I was thinking, if he bit her, wouldn't he just die? Apparently, it's only touching lips, because she goes and blows a bunch of lip things, stores them. It's very ridiculous. But, you know, apparently, like, it only works if we kiss on the lips. Okay. And, because even Tommy catches one, and then throws it back, and it hits her on the lips, and she just explodes. Then he messes up Gil's hair. Although Tommy does take a moment before the final fight that, this might be the final time we take on some bad guys. Yeah, so why isn't Laurie there? She's out in the car with Kyle, who at this point is falling asleep, we find out. The entire time. She has no idea what happened. Like, Merton, what are you doing here? What happened to Sloane? Let's just say I told her to kiss off. Kiss off. Well, that's a good one. And, yeah, so they go to prom. They graduate. And then they say goodbye to Merton, who's going to University of Heidelberg. Calling back to Flugelhof from season 1. And so we get a goodbye between Merton and Becky, where she finally calls him Merton instead of Freaker. She called me Merton. And they say goodbye. And then 3 weeks later at State U, Tommy's new roommate is moving in. Turns out it's Merton. He's on the speakerphone with Laurie. It's Merton. They had a transfer. He transferred because Professor Flugelhof was blackballing him in all the best classes in Heidelberg, so he switched to State U. How he was able to do that, I don't know. You gotta get a scholarship, or you gotta pay money, I guess. I guess you could do that. I guess. But yeah, like, Laurie, get yourself a bus ticket, because I got a feeling that the resident advisor is a vampire. More vampires? You just dealt with vampires. And then Tommy says the line, I had the feeling that my adventures were far from over. Except for this was technically the series finale. There's one episode of it. It's a clip show. But yeah, this was the series finale. And little Scotty didn't realize that. I was like, okay, we're going to go to college. And it wasn't the next week we had this. I'm like, okay. Okay, and then I waited. There's nothing. I'm like, well, maybe it's like last time I have to wait. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and there was no new episode ever. Like, at all. Just not at all. What would I have done? Well, I wouldn't have had Laurie come back. Laurie really wanted to go to that other school, the all-girls school, so Hammermill. This is where she went, and we'll keep her there. I would actually bring back Stacy. And Chuck. But I would have a way to do it. I would reveal that Chuck was secretly working for the Werewolf Syndicate, trying to bring them back. And his plan was to find some way to get Tommy to bite him, to turn him into a werewolf, so he can create new ones. I know it's technical mumbo jumbo. Will he be an alpha? Possibly. Don Levy wasn't an alpha and he created one, so. Well, actually, Don Levy had to be an alpha to create one. So. And also, maybe I forgot continuity here. Because was Merton an alpha? If he bit Laurie, and the antibodies weren't in her body, would it turn her back into a werewolf? they kind of forgot that until they actually remembered in this episode about the alpha thing. So just that's what continuity the way I was doing it, and say, oh, Chuck could do it. Originally, it was an original character, and then going through this, I'm like, Chuck actually makes more sense than just original character named Steve or Derek. I didn't sell them the name, but yeah, this was a decent finale. This feels like they weren't sure if it was going to be the end, so they kind of ended the Big Wolf on Campus story in high school and everything, and set up like, hey, we could possibly continue should we get more, another season order. So it was kind of a midpoint where you could say, yeah, it works as a finale, as a series finale, but also as a season finale should they want more episodes. Unfortunately, there was none. And then we have this next episode, which I will get to. One more to go. It probably won't be much, but to talk about.